Hey guys, I don't know if you guys are fans of the show Dance Moms, but it's one of my guilty pleasure shows. I love reality TV, sadly. So I thought I would talk a little bit about the girls' names on Dance Moms, and not just the girls, but their moms as well. And actually, I'm going to start with Abby Lee, the dance teacher. Abigail has been one of the most popular names for a very long time, and Abby is generally short for Abigail. And it is a Hebrew name, which means my father rejoices. So it has a really nice meaning. I'm not a huge fan of the name Abigail just because it's so common, but I don't think it's a bad name. It's a pretty name. And then Lee is an Old English word meaning meadow, and I think that it's kind of a nice middle name. It's a very common filler middle name. So you have Abby Lee, the dance teacher, and she has a nice, okay sounding name. Very common sounding name, I think. If I were going to use such a common first or middle name, I would try to come up with a more uncommon name to balance it out. Okay, then I'm going to start with my favorite mom-daughter couple on the show, and that's Christi and Chloe. I think Christi does a great job of standing up for Chloe, and she does get a little worked up sometimes, but I like her. Christi is a derivative form of Christina, and it is a Latin name, and it just means Christian woman. So it's kind of a boring meaning, and I don't really like meanings of names that define your child as a religion, but it's all right. And then Chloe is an old Greek name, and it means blooming or young green shoot, like a very young plant, which I was curious about what young green shoot came from, so I looked up a little more, and I found that Chloe is like an old epithet for Demeter, which was the Greek goddess of agriculture, so that makes more sense why it would be related to a plant. And Chloe, I decided to do this for all of the girls' names that I could look up how popular their names were the year they were born. And Chloe is a fairly popular name. It was number 30 in 2001 when Chloe from Dance Moms was born. The next mother is Melissa, who is probably my least favorite mom on the show, just because I agree with the other moms. I think she's kind of fake. And yeah. But anyway, I guess she's entitled to her own privacy, but I just don't think she's very open and real. Melissa's an old Greek name, and it has a super cute meaning. It means bee or honey, and I think that's adorable. I don't like the name Melissa on its own that much, but it has a lot of opportunity for nicknames, which is always cool. You can have Mel, which is a little more like boyish, or you can have Liz or Lissa, Lissy. You could also do Mimi. I don't think it's too big of a stretch to go with Mimi, and I once babysat for a woman named Melissa, and she went by Missy, so that's kind of a cute one, although it does remind me of like a dog name sometimes. And then she has her two daughters, Madison and Mackenzie, or Madison, better known as Maddie, who's the star of the show. And Madison was a super popular name at the time Maddie was born in 2002. It was number 2. And it means either son of Mad, which is a derivative of Matthew, or son of Maud, which is a derivative of Matilda. And obviously it's originally a boy's name that has crossed over and become very popular for girls. And Mackenzie is another unisex name, and so clearly Melissa liked that style. It was number 44 when Mackenzie was born in 2004, and it means son of Kenneth, and it's a Scottish Gaelic name. The next mom is Kelly, and Kelly is a Celtic name, and it means church or monastery. I used to really like the name Kelly for a boy when I was younger, but as I grew older, I realized that because it's so popular for girls, it probably would make my son feel embarrassed. But I like the name Kelly. And then her oldest daughter, Brooke, was born in 1998, and at that time, Brooke was number 46. And I think Brooke is a really pretty name. When I was a kid, my cousins had a dog named Brooke, and that was the first place I heard it, and I always loved the name. And it's an old English name, and it just means dweller by the brook. So it's a cute name. I like the name Brooke. And then she has her younger daughter, Paige, who was born in 2000, and Paige was the number 69 girl's name at that time. And I don't like the meaning of the name Paige that much. It's a Middle English name, and it means servant or helper, and like a page boy. And I don't like the name Paige all that much for some reason. I think because it's been very common and popular, and I don't know, I'm just not a fan of it for some reason. It's not my style. The next mom is Jillian, who goes by Jill, and Jillian is not one of my favorite names, and it's a variant of the name Julian, which means downy bearded, and I hate that name meaning. I don't like the meaning downy bearded. What does that even mean, really? It reminds me of Santa Claus. I don't know if it's supposed to mean like white bearded, but that's what it makes me think of. And then her daughter's name is Kendall, and Kendall was born in 2002, and I actually thought this name was a little more popular than it is, but it was only number 195 in 2002, which is still fairly popular, but not, I thought it was a lot more common than that. And Kendall's an old English name, and it means Valley of the River Kent. And I think Kendall is an okay name. I believe it's also used for boys as well. When I was a kid, my sister had a friend named Kendall, and that was where I first heard the name, and I really liked it when I first heard it. Then the next mom is Holly, and I love the name Holly. I think it's super cute, and it just means holly, like the plant. And her daughter Nia, I think, is adorable. I love Nia on the show, and Nia is the least common of all these girls' names. It was number 310 when she was born in 2001, and it has two origins. The Celtic origins has quite a few varied meanings, but I picked two that I thought were cute. Champion and beauty. I think it has great meanings. And it also has a Swahili origin, and in Swahili it means aim or purpose, and I think that's a really cool meaning as well. So I like the name Nia, but I think I would prefer to use it as a nickname for a longer name. And you could definitely use like Nia for short for any name that ends in like N-I-A, like Antonia, or I don't know, there's tons of names like that, especially like Spanish ones. Then the next mom who I really dislike is Leslie. Okay, I take it back. I like Melissa better than Leslie. I really dislike Leslie. And Leslie is a Celtic name, and it means garden of hollies, weirdly enough. And I don't like the name Leslie either. I couldn't really tell you why. I don't like it. Not a fan of Leslie. And her daughter Peyton, Peyton in Old English means peacock town, which is a very bizarre meaning. Maybe it has another meaning, but that's the one I found. And it was I'm not exactly sure what year Peyton was born in, because her birthday wasn't listed with the other girls' birthdays. But I think she's around Brooke's age, and Brooke was born in 98. In 1999, Peyton was number 235, and in 2000 it jumped to 168. So it was getting more popular around that time. I don't like the name Peyton either. It kind of reminds me a lot of Paige. Like, those two names in my mind, they go together. And I don't know why, but I don't like either of them very much. Although maybe it's just because I don't like P names very much. That very well could be why. Okay, then we have the ever-hated Candy Apple Studio owner, Kathy. And I kind of laughed when I looked up the meaning of the name Kathy. It's an old Greek name, and when I first looked at it, it said pure torture. And actually, there are two separate meanings, pure and torture. But I looked at pure torture, and I thought that's about right for Kathy from Dance Mom. I don't really know why. I mean, torture is a horrible meaning anyways, but yeah, so Kathy, I don't like the name Kathy either, and it has a horrible meaning. So, I mean, pure is nice, but torture, like, that's a horrible meaning. And she has her daughter named Vivi-Anne, which I think is pretty cute. I'm not generally a fan of, like, hyphenating, like, a name that's already a name. I don't really like that, but in this case, I kind of understand it because she pronounces it Vivi-Anne, not Vivian, And I do think if it was one long name, that people would just say Vivian. So that kind of makes sense. And Vivian has a really great meaning. It means alive or lively. The last name I added to the list is not one of the moms or the daughters, but it is Gianna, who is one of the dance assistant teachers. And I love Gianna. I think that's a beautiful name. It's a Hebrew name, and it means God is gracious. And it sounds really Italian to me, but I think it is a beautiful name. And you could use Gigi for a nickname. And if you guys didn't know, I really love the Anna sound instead of Anna. So that's probably why I like that name so much, because I love the nickname Gigi and I love the Anna sound. So my favorite names from Dance Moms are probably Gianna, as I said, and I like vivi-anne, but more realistically, I would pick Vivian. And Holly, I love the name Holly. I also like Brooke, but I don't think it's one I would use, but it is a very cute name. So what are your favorite names from Dance Moms? Do you guys watch the show, or which names do you like from this video? If you watch the show, which characters do you like, regardless of their names? If I had to pick characters and not based on their names, my favorite is Christi and Chloe, as I said. So, yeah. Thank you, as always, for watching, and please take 2 seconds to subscribe and leave a comment if you have any comments or questions or anything. I'd love to start doing questions videos sometime when I have enough viewers to leave me questions. I do have a form spring, but I'm not 100% sure how form spring works. It's really hard for me to figure it out, but I will include a link to that on my channel description if you guys are interested, so you can go there and check it out. So thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.